Okay, thank you so much for that question, Derek. As you say, there are a lot of talented athletes playing different sports at the grassroots level. And their major challenge is the financial part of their growing their talent. Sports, whichever sports, it's an expensive venture to pursue. You need money for your sports equipment, money for travel, for games. When you get sports injuries, you need money to cover your medical costs. Now, these expenses are what actually make sports careers, not only in Kenya but in Africa, short, because they cannot access proper funding to be able to cover these costs. Now, looking at how can we be able to mitigate these challenges, that gave birth, in my experience working at the grassroots and experiencing these challenges, it gave birth to Tajiriba Africa. Now, Tajiriba Africa was born out of the Ubuntu culture in Africa, or Harambee spirits. I am because you are, all pulling together. You get, in this, we are all born around communities. When one of us is bereaved, we come together to raise for cover their funeral costs. When someone is sick, we raise money to their medical costs and such. From that, as Tajiriba, we were like, why can't we use the same concept for our communities to fundraise for these young athletes, this community sports team, to raise funds to cover their expenses for their sporting activities. That's how we look at how can we be able to grow sports at the community level.
All right, thank you very much for that, Leon. So, as I understand that, Roy, that's the why.
Yeah.
Now for how. So, I think Leon identifies a need. You identify the audience from your experience with major brands.
Okay.
What is the most powerful, let me call it psychological lever? So, is it storytelling? Is it data? Is it a sense of community that will convince someone to open their wallet and fund basically a stranger's sports dream?
All right, thank you, Derek, for this opportunity. So the major breakthrough that Tajiriba Africa can do in terms of marketing is basically storytelling and testimonials. So because the psychological aspect of marketing is when someone is able to relate with the story or an experience that someone has been through, that is the easiest way for someone to get on the awareness and contribute to help and even to make an impact to this athlete or to this team that need the funding. That is basically storytelling and testimonials should be the best psychological marketing strategy.
Okay, thank you for that. So, gentlemen, let me ask you, can you give me an example of an athlete or even a small club that you've worked with that has a really interesting or compelling story but doesn't know how to tell it? And how would you turn that into a marketable crowdfunding campaign?
Okay,
so any of you gentlemen can answer that question. Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
If I may begin, I'll just actually come back to a simple story that I watched here at the Kenya International Sports Film Festival during yesterday's session. This sports movie called The Winning Goal of the Makueni ladies football team. It was really moving, yeah, seeing how the ladies are determined to play football in their dusty grounds, and you get their main challenge is getting the football equipment, transport costs, training costs for them to be able to play soccer. And from that, they mentioned that they managed to meet these costs from the community around them. They raise money for transport to go for games from the community around them. But you get in their current setup, the funds they can only access is for the people in Makueni. But now you get Tajiriba gives them access to funders from Mombasa here, Nairobi, outside the country, maybe London, Manchester, or wherever. So we are living in a globalized world, and the traditional Ubuntu culture only limited you to your local community. But Tajiriba enables your arm to reach out to a wider funding portal where you can get funding from across the world. So that's an example of a team that will be able to help.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the sports landscape in Kenya, let's just say football dominates, okay? So how do you cut through the noise and maybe make a campaign for a less mainstream sport? I don't know, hockey, cricket, volleyball, maybe even rugby?
Well,
yeah.
I believe we should give every sport an equal opportunity, because if we focus more on football, as you're saying, that it is the most popular sports in Kenya, what about this talented person in hockey? What about this talented person in rugby? Because I believe that investments should be done, or rather cut across all levels and all types of sports. We should not be biased because football is the major sport in Kenya. We should focus on football. No. The other competition that we can still bring them up to other tournaments or international tournaments as well. So the best thing that we can do is probably try and market also these small teams and also these other sports that people are not even venturing or rather investing into. Yeah.
And allow me to add on to that, Derek. Now, you get, right now, at the moment in Kenya, there are over 40 different sports disciplines being played in Kenya. And you get, in each sports discipline, it has its own group of followers or sports fans.
Yeah.
And looking at social media, in Kenya, there are over 2 million people following different sports disciplines in different social media platforms. Now, yes, football is a popular sport, but also hockey, swimming, rowing, whichever, athletics has its own following. So Tajiriba offers a platform for you're following as this particular sport. You're following to support you as an individual sport. So Tajiriba covers all the sports being played in the country, but we bank on your followers in boxing, in karate, in taekwondo to support your particular sports. So your funds will be your network to help you raise funds for your activities.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I really appreciate seeing things from that perspective. Thank you for those answers, gentlemen. Now let me switch gears a little bit. How do you build, and shall I say crucially maintain, trust? In other words, how does an organization, for example, like yours, Tajiriba Africa, how do you ensure transparency and even keep the community engaged after, let's say, the initial funding goal has been met?
Okay, if I may answer that, thank you so much for that question. Now, the Kenya government came up with a very good tool called the Sports Act, where athletes and teams need to comply with the Sports Act. And there are different criteria which you need to submit in order to get certification from the Ministry of Sports. Now, we'll align with the Sports Act, whereby if someone creates a campaign, we verify that campaign by submitting the documents as required by the Sports Act to know that this is a legitimate team, this is a legitimate athlete, and this is a legitimate campaign. And to answer your question about how do we follow up or monitor the progress, we've integrated social media on our platforms. So each campaign is linked to the specific campaign social media platform, whereby after the campaign is successful, the funders can go into the particular athlete or sports club or sports project social media channels to monitor and track the progress.
And maybe just to add on as well, the platform also has you as a person, once you fundraise or contribute to a certain campaign, you can be able to track the progress. how much is being raised or how much has been raised. So in terms of transparency and accountability, I think the platform can also be able to offer that, because you are also tracking as a person how much the contribution has gotten to.
Gentlemen, this is a relatively new area. Can you perhaps share a lesson from a campaign that was not successful, maybe didn't meet its goal? In other words, what would you do differently now? What have you learned? What systems would you put into place?
Okay, how I can put it, I can use an example. There's a team from Siaya. It was called, it's a ladies team from Siaya. Created a campaign on the platform, didn't manage to hit its target. But however, we work together with the sports team. What I would advise, how I'll do it differently. Don't create a campaign and just sit it there, let it die, hoping that money will flow into your campaign. No, our platform offers a sharing option, whereby once you create your campaign, share as much as we market on our end. Share, you also require to share within your network, because we are relying on the community aspect. Share on your social media, share through WhatsApp message and whatever, people to be able to be aware of your particular campaign. A success story is, for example, there's a community club called Shanzu Marlins in Shanzu, Mombasa. They're here today with us. They managed to fundraise they wanted t-shirts for them to attend the Kenya International Sports Film Festival. So we managed to fundraise from the community. Someone sending 100 shillings here, 200 shillings here, and 1,000 shillings here, and managed to hit their target. Now they get branded, be able to attend the Kenya International Sports Film Festival. So it's create and share with your community.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, we're in the 21st century, 2025. Gender inclusion is a big thing for our female athletes. How can crowdfunding be specifically leveraged to support and market female athletes in our region?
Well, Tajiriba Africa is also focused on gender inclusion as well. We are not gender secluding or other bias in terms of financial support. So to answer your question in terms of supporting women, we also go to the grassroots level to identify these female teams, rather lady teams that need financial support and funding. We leave alone just funding. We also do mentorship and also try to engage other female athletes and sports stakeholders who have their main focus is also supporting the ladies as well. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you ensure that crowdfunding leads to, let's say, a sustainable career pathways? And it's not just a one-off for a tournament, for a particular game or whatever. So how does this work in terms of sustainability? And again, I'm not specifically asking one of you. I'm asking any of you to answer that question.
Thank you. If I may, just to add on to what Roy said, he mentioned that we do mentorship. We also organize workshops on life after sports and sustainability. You've raised money for your team to go for tournaments and all that, but how do you keep this consistent? Because now the general public might not be willing to keep on coming into to fund you. For example, do you set up to raise one fundraising in a particular to cover your budget for the whole year, or do you do many micro campaigns? Yeah, such scenarios. Secondly, you're a sports team. You can be a business entity by yourselves. When you look at the developed world, sports teams are basically marketing agencies. Companies approach them to endorse their brands, market their brands, and all that. Yeah? Kenya and Africa in general, we are not there. Those are some areas you can look at venturing. So sustainability in terms of how often do you do your fundraising, and look at yourself as a business, not just as a sports team. So we do workshops and train our athletes and teams in such scenarios.
So Leon, just following on to that, what are the KPIs that you look at to judge the success of a campaign? I know you've mentioned some of them. Are there any others?
For a successful campaign?
Yes.
Okay.
So
one and the most obvious is a campaign reaching 100% of its target. Two is looking the reach. How many people, by creating your campaign, how many people have engaged with your campaign? Even not necessarily funding. They've looked at your campaign, they've shared your campaign. So what your social media reach is where we look at the KPIs. And then secondly, the return campaigns. How often does a team come back to create another campaign after a successful campaign? Sorry, and
so social media is...
Sorry, and the last one, and also for the funders, how often does a particular funder, for example, me, how often do I go back to fund a particular campaign or other campaigns after funding one? Yeah.
Okay. So, Roy, going back to my question about involving the community, obviously this is crowdfunding. How do you overcome skepticism, maybe initial skepticism?
Come again. I can't get you clearly.
Okay. How do you overcome maybe that skepticism of the community? Because this is relatively new. So what steps are you taking to overcome that skepticism?
Thank you for your question. So, you see, when you're doing marketing, of course you will definitely get rejections, okay? Rejections. So at some point, we try as much as we can to educate this certain community of the benefits of the Tajiriba Africa crowdfunding platform and what they should be expecting and not to over-expect. So in terms of dealing with skepticism, honestly it is beyond our control, but we'll do as much as we can to educate the people of the current digitization instead of just having that physical fundraising whereby you write letters calling people come today to, let's say, Mombasa, you're having a fundraising.
We try to educate them on how it will ease up their job in terms of reaching out to different people in different communities and different areas. So basically it's just educating them and creating awareness about the crowdfunding and the benefits.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to add to that? Maybe, Leon?
Thank you so much. If I may, in every business there are those challenges. People will initially doubt because it's a new concept. But as Roy says, is how hard do we work to prove the legitimacy of our business? And basically, like I said initially, is looking at the certification of any particular club or athlete that's raising money through our campaign. Secondly, the platforms that we use to carry out transactions. We use, for one, locally, M-Pesa, which is, we use it's secured through the Safaricom security system. Secondly, for international payments, we use Paystack. Paystack has a good reputation in terms of digital transaction security. Through Paystack, you can do PayPal transactions, Apple Pay, credit card and debit card transactions, which are all secure. So the third-party platforms that we use to carry transactions on our platform give a testament on the trust that our clients can put on our platform.
All right, thank you. So gentlemen, we have a few minutes left. I just want to ask you both, what next? What's the next frontier? What happens next? Where should we go? What should happen? What are you doing, or what can we do? What can the community do to support this?
For one, I believe that every athlete, or rather every sports, or rather every team has their own challenges, especially when it comes to funding. So the next step that we're going to take is do more marketing about the platform, number one. Number two, create more campaigns and reach the grassroots teams as well to request them to also register to the platform. Also, number 3 is partnering with the crucial and important stakeholders in the sports sector. And number 4, we will try as much as we can to also, we've already identified the problems and challenges that many grassroots teams face. So maybe just get a platform as well with the stakeholders so that you can pitch the whole idea and bring them on board as partners.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And what we'd love to do is change shift the dynamics. Roy mentioned earlier that traditionally these sports teams would send countless emails to corporates, countless letters, which often don't receive any response. I don't blame them. Corporate sectors, their core business is in marketing, is looking at where can we get business. And these small teams they don't have the demographics or the following to get the business that this corporate sector is looking at. So, but the communities around them, they are passionate about that particular athlete or particular sport. If I go, I ask for 1,000 shillings for me because I need to buy boots to go for training. You know me at a personal level. So your decision to fund me is only an M-Pesa pin away. However, if you go to the traditional way, corporates have a lot of bureaucracy. I write an email, it has to go to HR for several levels of approvals. At the end of the day, may get declined. But our communities are a single decision away to funding you. So that's why we are looking at how do we go back to these communities, raise the little amount able to achieve our goal.
All right, thank you for that. So my final question to you both gentlemen. We are on a platform where there are many people watching us. Is there a particular talent right now you're working with, an athlete, or maybe there's a particular campaign that you're working on? Maybe now would be the time for you to share it with the wider audience so that we know what's happening. Maybe even give us if there's where to go on social media and anything like that.
Okay, thank you for that question, if I may. At the moment, there's a rugby club in Shanzu, Mombasa. It's called the Shanzu Marlins Rugby Club. It's a club.
I'm sorry, just say that one more time. I didn't quite get it. What is it called?
Shanzu Marlins Rugby Club.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Shanzu Marlins Rugby Club. It's found in Shanzu, Mombasa. It's comprised of young boys and girls that mainly reside in Shanzu and the wider Mombasa County. So the club has just registered for the new nationwide Kenya Rugby Union nationwide season, starting in 22nd of November. So they are raising funds to cover their season expenses. So if you go to our website www.tajiriba.africa, you'll get to find their campaign. Click support them with anything you can afford, from as little as 100 shillings to as much as you can afford. Beauty is, as Roy mentioned earlier, you can track the campaign progress, how much they have been able to raise. You can also follow them on their social medias. Social medias are still on the platform. Click on the social medias, see their stories, see their fixtures after the campaign, how well they are performing, and build on the support. Also, like and follow them and share with your friends. So the website is www.tajiriba.africa. Log in and support.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, this has been an incredible, insightful discussion. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. My key takeaway that it's not just about the money, it's about building a community of believers around an athlete, around a sports dream. This is where our talent lies, our youth. You've just talked about this rugby team, and really, it's a powerful tool for changing the game. So I'm going to ask everybody maybe to give a huge round of applause for our brilliant panelists. Leon Lubanga, Roy Timbiti Mutoro, Makofi Tafadhali. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And okay, I'll now hand back to Chris. Thank you.